Discussion of is it a poem or not a poem, part 2. Now, we just got through talking a little bit about language, and specifically a dog and a boy. The lesson to be learned from all that, just to kind of pull this back together and go where we're going, is that you have to pay very special attention to the words you use. You should feel free to use any words you want to use, but make absolutely certain that the language you use is right for the writing. Do you get that? Do what is right for the writing. And so if you keep that always in mind, you're going to make the right choices. Now, and again, part of the thing, there's no censorship in this class, but at the same time, if you choose to write and write something shocking or provocative or whatever, understand that I'm asking everyone else to diligently read that and then comment, and it's okay to say, I am offended by this piece of writing. The author needs to know these things. If someone writes something and it is completely offensive, maybe it was unintentionally so, and the writer needs to know that. Maybe the writer went too far on something. The writer needs to know that. So, at the same time, when I say there's no censorship, what I'm saying is write what you need to write to your obsessions, use the words that you can, the words that you know, the words that you own. Richard Hugo talks a little bit about that. He's in the handbook, buried in there. Go find him and read him. He talks about owning words and how words like gray and stone are his words. He uses them a lot. And you will see as you go through the writing process that there are words that you own, words that you love. This is why I had you make a list of words that you love. Because, for me, linoleum, maggot, mother. These words that sound good but have special meaning to me and are important and concrete. I use them. Let's go on. Number 14, Elephants in School. This is one of those alphabet poems, okay? A, big, colorful, darling elephant, and it goes on, E, F, G, H, I, J. It's a fun exercise. Good times. One of you actually posted one of these, I think is your bad poem. And again, it's one of those alphabet poems. A fun and interesting exercise, successful writing, probably not in the end. That was tough stuff, wasn't it? Number 15, Fire and Ice. Now, yes, this is a poem by Robert Frost, by the way. Now, again, just because I say, oh, it's by Robert Frost, you should not go, oh, well, he won 4 Pulitzer Prizes in poetry. This is great writing. Not necessarily. I'm not that partial to this poem. It is a poem, and it does a lot of good work, and it does what it needs to do, but then we start to get down to taste. And this is where we're going to have some finer points of discussion as we go along, is this whole matter of taste. Sometimes things just don't appeal to you, and that's okay. We can talk about that, and you can say, this piece of writing does not appeal to me, but, and then go on to give it the adequate critique that it deserves. So, 15, poem. 16, this is Shel Silverstein, our buddy, if you remember this from back in the day, and I think a couple of you did. It's fun. Is it a poem? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. Does it add up to any deep, meaningful thing? Not necessarily. Number 17, no. It's the Volkswagen Beetle. And a couple of you had talked about that and went, oh, that's brilliant, or that's cool, or that's cute. The problem is with this, it's a one-trick pony. You look at it, you go, heh, heh, and then what? Nothing. Now, if that's what you aspire to do with your writing, okay. But what I want for you is to aspire for more. And that's where I'm going to push you, because I want your writing to be lasting. This is a joke with a punchline. It's a one-trick pony, as we just said. It's not lasting writing. Number 18, yes, it's a sweet and low pack. Is it a poem? No. Reason why that's there, again, is to always raise the question, because anything can be poetry. Well, if anything can be poetry, then so can a sweet and low pack. Most of you said no, and I'm going to agree. Everything cannot be poetry. you have to have certain rules and regulations. Now what those are, it's tough to define, but we're working on it. That's the whole point of this process. We know there are words involved, we know there's use of language and concrete detail and attention to sound. And we've talked about now the shape and the form on the page and what distinguishes between a prose poem, a narrative poem, a lyric poem. Number 19, the title of that I think got cut off. That's Heaven for Railroad Men. David Wojan wrote that. He's a great poet. Used to teach at UALR, by the way, but you did not know that. Then he moved to Indiana. It does everything it needs to do. Pretty good poem. Now, number 20, yes, it's a list of holidays. I pulled it off of the wall in the copy room, cut it, and taped it to this. Is it a poem? I'm going to say no. Now, I know some of you made some sound art. Oh, well, it's representative of, life and holidays and this and that. Well, yeah, but again, we hope to aspire for more. 21, it's one of those visual nutty things. If memory serves, there's actually something where if you hold it a certain distance from your eyes and kind of cross your eyes, it turns into EYE. Not a poem. 22, You Betcha. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. You should go watch Dead Poets Society immediately. If you've never seen this, you should watch it. It should be required. Back in the day when it came out, it used to be required. Every English class showed this movie. It's great. Robin Williams, go watch it. 23, You Betcha. Are you kidding me? It's Shakespeare. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hair be wires, black wires grow from her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfume is there more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet by heaven I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. I just had to read that to you. Now, you're going to say a couple of, that's that crazy Shakespeare speak. Yes, but if you take just a minute, you can break this down. What is Shakespeare saying here? You know what? She ain't that pretty. She got crazy hair. Her breath stinks. She sounds crazy when she talks. I don't like that voice. Ah! But you know what? I love her because she's her. She's not a goddess. She's my baby. And it's beautiful. And it's a sonnet, 14 lines, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, G, G, rhyme scheme. Go Google sonnet. It'll be okay. 24, it's one of those little paste poems. I got this out of some crazy book talking about creative writing. Just don't do it. And 25, yes, it's a warning label. Cut it straight off of something in the copy room and slapped it on here. Does it mean that much of anything? Well, there's FCC rules and regulations, but is it a poem? No. So what are we getting from this? Let's get real for a minute. Suddenly it's like a bad reality TV show. We talked a lot about what is a poem, what's not a poem. What can you gather from our discussion here? Language. Got to pay attention to words. Meaning. There's got to be some meaning. Now, it could be humorous, it could be serious, but there's got to be some attention to a direction that it's going. Now, form, and particularly line break. This is going to be some tough stuff that we're going to talk about as we go along, because form on the page, line breaks in particular, one of the toughest things that we have to talk about. Where do you break the line? There's no easy way to tell you that. If you're writing formal poetry, then it's easy. A haiku, which I'm not really big on the haiku, by the way, but it's 5 syllables, break. 7 syllables, break. 5 syllables, end of poem. A sonnet is 14 lines. Each line is iambic pentameter. Go ahead, type that into Google, iambic pentameter. And really all that is a measure of the rhythm of the poem. It's an unstressed stress. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Now if you read it like that, and I'm sure you had an English teacher or two that did this to you, it tends to ruin all writing. I'm not going to read another one like that. Who needs to ruin it? You know, I will ruin for you. I want you to go find Emily Dickinson right now. Just type in Emily Dickinson poetry, find any one of them. I heard a fly buzz when I died, whatever. You can sing 95% of Emily Dickinson's poems to either, and you can take your pick, The Yellow Rose of Texas, or the theme to Gilligan's Island. You remember Gilligan's Island, right? If not, just do a quick search. It's great. So, now, and you're going to say, this is crazy. As a matter, pause the video. Go do it real quick. Okay, you're back. You're going to say, that's crazy. How does that? Well, she derives her rhythm from hymns, from old hymns, which had similar rhythm to Yellow Rose of Texas, theme to Gilligan's Island. So, that's why that's going on. Now, with this information, what I want you to do is think some more about poetry. Think about writing. Now, this bleeds over into fiction as well and all writing. We're talking a lot about the basics, specific detail, imagery. What are you going to remember from this worksheet? If, at the end of the semester, I had a test. We're not going to have a test, but if I did, I said, of those 25 poems, which ones do you remember, and what do you remember of them? Guaranteed you're going to remember A Dog and a Boy, because it does the work that we want to do. It's concrete, it is specific, it makes you feel, it has meaning, it paints a very solid picture, and it represents something emotionally that we can relate to. It's confrontation of death. But again, we may never have had a dog die. We may never have had a glass eye, and we may never have, I hope, fucked our sister. So, but we can still understand Joe Brickhouse. You'll remember Joe Brickhouse forever because of that poem. You'll remember that name, and you will remember what happened there. That's good writing, and that's the writing that we want to do.